So, but it doesn't ever stop completely.
No, it doesn't.
Yeah.
And I think that's the farce. People think, well, your crop's in, so you don't have anything to do. But
Right.
there's always something to do.
Well, and I think it's important to note, and this is just a tease into some stuff I think we'll talk about later, but it's not just a farm, it's also a ranch.
Yeah.
So the ranch really picks up in the wintertime because calving season starts.
Yeah.
And so, where some people, and I'm just guessing with my city girl eyeballs, but if you're solely farming, those are probably the people that do have to lay off some employees
Yeah.
and do really get a lot of downtime. Whereas if you have a farm and a ranch, now you really have to focus on getting the herd moved, getting them, to home base for the winter time, getting, I mean, calving is just nonsense.
Yeah.
It's a beautiful chaos, this roller coaster ride. The ups, the downs are spinning all around inside. It's a beautiful chaos. Sometimes I love, sometimes I hate. Have to pause, renegotiate, but with gratitude I appreciate this beautiful chaos.
Hi, everybody, and welcome to this episode of Beautiful Chaos. I'm Stacy Miller,
And I'm Tammy Ramsey.
and today the title of our episode is After Harvest.
Mm-hmm.
What farmers are really doing in the winter. So I'll just ask the question right off the bat. You're just vacationing, right?
Yeah, isn't that what everyone thinks? Or like my dad. My dad calls from Florida, and he's like, "Yeah, so what do you just drink coffee till spring?" And I'm like,
yeah.
no. We vacation a little more, but that's because we're in the partially retired.
Correct.
This is the way we consider our retirement, is just to take a few vacations. But most farmers, if you're younger, back in our younger years, it was more of just, you're going to not work 12 hours a day. You can now go to 8 hours a day.
Right.
So
There's still plenty to do in the wintertime.
Plenty to do. So it's not like everything's just over and you just sit back and do stuff. Now is the time that they actually have equipment that they repair.
Mhm.
They'll go through everything from harvest and clean it, repair it, change
Right.
out any belts that need to be changed or tires. I know they were replacing tires just last week, but yeah, so they're always constantly working, and then you have the planning for the next crop and the
Right.
rotation, and you're pre-buying your seed, and you're pre-buying your fertilizers, chemicals, and all of those things, and then you're meeting with your accountant, which, by the way, I'm behind with my bookwork, so
Well, I know when I worked in the office, I could wrangle them up for a meeting every week. That was really important. That
you
we had
were
a
really
meeting.
good at that.
Yeah.
Yes.
That we had a meeting every week, and that was just to keep everyone accountable and make sure that we're moving along with whatever everyone's goals are, weekly goals, monthly goals, quarterly goals, whatever it was. And so I could wrangle them up for a meeting, even, I mean, minus harvest, but pretty much the rest of the year, no matter if it was, busy or not busy.
Yeah.
But after harvest, and as the temperatures start to drop, my office went from really quiet and kind of just me, or maybe me and just Michelle, or maybe there was one mechanic hanging out fixing the one piece of equipment in the shop, to all of a sudden everybody's in the shop and everything is hopping. Because, you just like in theater, if we're in the middle of a show and somebody, breaks the hem on the back of their dress and the dress is coming unbuttoned, safety pin, paper clip, binder,
tape,
we'll do any
whatever.
tape, duct tape. Oh, the amount of actors that have been duct tape in that theater. But whatever we can do to like get them going and get them back out there. And that's the way farming is. You just put a Band-Aid on whatever's not working, patch a tire, bang something out, knock it back out a little bit. But then in the wintertime is when they can really sit down and focus and, check all four tires, all eight, two, 12.
How many?
Check all tires, pull them off before they blow or get bad, really do the repair on something else, actually pull a motor apart, take it apart and really figure out what's going on and why it's been causing this problem or making this noise. And so, yeah, the shop is bustling in the wintertime.
Always. It is so busy. And we, there's some farmers that lay off their help in the winter. And but we've never done that. We've always tried to keep our guys just busy.
Yeah.
Because and as we've grown, there is just more to do.
Yeah.
So it's really good. So and one thing that's a little different this year, because Kevin's normally making his own list, Louie's making his list, Bertine's got his list of all the things. But this year, what did Kevin do with all of you gals?
We had a little downtime when, like, during like a lunch break / something broke down during harvest, and Kevin was so funny. He came up to me with a big notebook, and he looked at my truck and he goes, "All right, truck number 8, make a wish list." And I was like, "Sorry, come again?" And he's like, whatever's going on with the truck. And I was like, trying to be really like realistic, because money doesn't grow on trees, right? So I went, it'd be nicer if the headlights were replaced so I can actually see with my old eyes when it's because we're out there at 4:00 in the morning sometimes, that I'm like, I can see that there's a tractor out in the field, but figuring out where I'm getting my truck into that field is a crapshoot every time. So I was like, new headlights would be really nice. And I handed him back the notebook, and he goes, fill the page. And I was like,
"Oh, wow.
Excuse me?" And he's like, "I just want you to just brain dump on there. Anything that you can think of. Do you want new seats? Do you want it to have air conditioning? I'm not telling you you're going to get all of those things and all this is going to happen in your truck, but give me a full laundry list of everything you could possibly think of." And I was like, cool. I want air conditioning. I want a radio. I want new speakers. I want different seats. Paint it purple. Thank you.
Purple. Yeah.
But then that notebook went to every single driver, because we were the experts at the time. And I respect that he recognizes that, at the time, I know everything that's making a noise, not making a noise. Why do I have to shift it funny? Why do I have to do this other thing? Yeah. And so then I just brain dumped it. And then now he can take those to his mechanics and say, "Hey, how much can we get done on truck 8 or 9 or 6 or 3 or whatever?" Like, knock off whatever we can off of these lists. And I think that tells a lot of, one, taking pride in what you have. A lot of, in a completely different scale, you run the vacuum one day and you hear a weird noise and something breaks, go buy a new vacuum.
Yeah.
Right? But in farming, I've definitely learned that, or at least with farming with Kevin, is that, and Louie, if you can fix it, fix it.
Yeah.
There's not buying a new something. Why would you buy a new one? I get into those trucks, and I'll get bored sometimes, and I'm looking at the VIN, plate that's on there, and I'm looking at the dates, and I'm like, man, this truck's been around.
Yeah.
It's been around for a long time, but it's been maintained. It's been kept up. It's been taken care of. Nobody's making a monthly payment on a loan on our spud trucks.
Right.
Your payment is investing in making sure that it can keep
going.
running and keep, So it's great that investment is being done in people to show, like, I respect that what's going on with that truck,
Mm-hmm.
that respect is being shown to the vehicles themselves so that they're being properly taken care of. But also, like you said, that's also a respect that's being showed to the mechanics to say, I'm finding work to keep you busy, to keep a paycheck coming, to make sure that you and your family are always taken care of. Because, it is really nice when all of a sudden harvest is over and you're like, I get to clock out at 5:00. Like, I'm only working 8 hours a day. This is so cool.
Yeah.
But then at the same time, it's like, wow, I'm grateful that I work for a place that's finding something for me to do to keep working 8 hours a day when the business itself has slowed down a little bit.
Right. And it's slowed down a lot, really, but it's good.
Without the work that's being done in the winter, you couldn't do the work that's being done in the spring and fall.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Well, and what I love about that wish list too is that he actually cares about you.
Right.
He cares about the people that are driving
Mm-hmm.
the vehicles and wants their opinions and wants to know how he could make their experience better so that they want to keep coming back.
Well, because the one thing he said, he goes, "Don't you want a new seat?" And I was like, "No." And he's like, "What do you mean you don't want it? Everybody wants a new seat." And I was like, "I actually really like the old, like, bench seat because I like setting my lunchbox next to me, kind of using it as an armrest, tossing my jacket next to it. And if it's a bucket type seat, I can't do that." And so, he recognizes that what he thinks we want might not actually be what we want. So why mess with a certain part of the truck if it's not going to make the driver happy and make them want to keep coming back and working year after year.
Yeah, yeah. So that's great. So, so that's kind of the things they do: equipment repair, maintenance on the not only the trucks, like you're saying, but the tractors, the harvesters. They check cellars. So now that the cellars are full, that's pretty much a daily thing.
Right.
Because when I didn't know this until the first year that I actually was working on the farm for harvest, that they'll go in and check, and there'll be hot spots in the cellar.
Yeah.
If one rotten potato's in there, it affects
everything around it.
infects all the ones around it. And you can end up with 20, 30 potatoes that you've got to dig out of there. And so, you know,
that's also true with people. One rotten person can really rotten the people around them. So watch who you hang out with.
Well, yeah. Do you know?
Just a little tidbit.
And since you took us off on that road, you are more likely to be more like the 5 closest people you hang out with.
1,000%.
So,
absolutely.
Yeah, so you definitely have to.
Watch where you're putting your time.
Watch where you're putting your time. So some other things that they do, and I love this time of year, when they get all of the equipment all taken care of and where they want the equipment, then it's time to organize the shop.
Yep.
So, you know, everybody gets in a hurry and they're like throwing tools, and sometimes like Kevin will go over and go, well, I'm missing this tool. They all have their tools marked and they know whose tools are what.
Wherever,
Everybody has their own little toolbox section. And so they will go through and reorganize all that, make sure everybody's got their stuff. They go through the parts deal and reorganize that. And then they paint.
Yeah.
The shop, clean and paint the shop.
And scrub the floors.
Yes.
Wash all the trucks. I actually liked washing the trucks. I remember one day I said, can I go, like, I don't have any desk work, Kevin. Can I go wash a truck? And he's like, you want to what? I'm like, I mean, can I just go outside and wash a truck? And he was like, yeah. Like, knock your socks off. But they get filthy. And you know, they guys got a nice pressure washer, so there is something really satisfying of like as you're pressure washing it, dirt's just like falling off and you're just like and getting it, and then you know, like, even that is helping the maintenance of the truck. You know, they're more likely to get in there and get all the work on done when all that mud's been taken off. But washing the trucks, man, that's fun sometimes.
100%. Well, and that's something that's also, it's like washing dishes to me.
Yeah.
Like, I love to just, you don't have to think about it. You're just doing it. So it's a physical thing, and your mind can just be.
Right. Yes. Yep, exactly. Give yourself a little break.
Yeah. So some other things that they do, but we do budgeting. They do contracts for the next season. And like I said earlier,
the crop rotations. Yep.
All that. Employee evaluations.
Yep.
So I don't know if you know this, but I started employee evaluations because Kevin never did them, but because I came from the outside world and had an office job for, you know, all my life.
You saw the value of it.
I saw the value of it.
Absolutely.
And I really think that also has helped. They've always had great employee retention, but I do think that also helps encourage employee retention when you can do an evaluation. And I even trained Kevin. It was like, okay, you can say, like, they fill out a form that says how they think they do, and then you discuss with them, and then, you know, if there's things that need to be adjusted, then you can tell them all the things that they need to improve on, but then you need to close with, and we really appreciate this about you. Yeah.
We always called it in business the sandwich method. You give them a compliment, you give them something to work on, you give them another compliment.
Yes.
But, you know, to touch on that, I think that, you know, I really love everything I ever needed to know I learned in kindergarten.
Yeah.
Because I can relate that to a lot of things, in a sense that we are never not kindergartners either. Right? So when you're, you know, taking care of young kids, I actually wonder how much Trishelle relates to this, having a daycare now. But you know, they really want structure and they want discipline and they want to know what to expect. They don't want a big surprise in their schedule or what they're doing. You know, you want to know what you're going to expect. And then you want your grades. You know, when you're in school, you want your grades. You want your sticker. You want you did a good job, or you weren't doing a good job. So you want somebody to reflect back to you what you're doing. And it does not change. You get into the workforce and you're the exact same way. You want everything to be fair. You want everybody to be treated the same way. You want to know how you're doing in that scale of things. You want to know if you're performing well, what you need to know, what you don't need to know. And what I also liked about when Kevin does evaluations, at least with the guys, is he says, okay, you're doing this, you're doing that, you're doing great, you're doing, you need to work on this. And then he'll say, what do you want to learn?
Yes.
And then they say, well, I really want to help with cows. Like, I've always been like a mechanic, or I always help with the farm, or I do this, but I don't do anything with cows. Okay, cool. Let's see what we can do to get you out there helping with cows. Or I don't know anything about, this piece of equipment. I want to learn that piece. Okay, let's figure out how to get you learning that piece of equipment. And so he will let you grow and learn something new, but is open to knowing, like, what do you see that's being done around here that you're not helping with that you want to help with? So, and anybody can benefit from that, any job. I think that's a great thing to ask an employee is like, okay, so you're doing great with this. What else do you want to learn? Because we are just children who want structure and discipline, and we want to grow and develop, and we want the gold star. At the end of the day, if we did a good job.
And we're put on this earth to learn and to grow and to become the person that we're supposed to be. And I do really appreciate that Kevin does that as well, because he is all about growing someone, and he wants people to be happy, and he wants them to be doing what they ultimately want to do, because he loves what he does.
Right.
He loves all of it. He loves the challenges, which I don't understand, because I want things to go pretty smooth, but he's all, something breaks down and he's all smiles. Woo!
Louis too. That. Louis is, something breaks down and the guy's like, watch me figure this out. Hold my wrench.
Right? I'm like, you guys are twisted.
Yeah.
I'd be over there, I'd have to have a minute and take some deep breaths and try to prepare myself.
Call an expert.
Yes. Call somebody that knows. Google it. I don't know. Ask ChatGPT.
Not always accurate, unfortunately.
No, not always accurate. I'm just kidding.
Okay, so I have a question for you.
Yes.
While we're going on to the next topic. So obviously we go from harvest, busy, crazy, and that's usually where you start your slow time. So how is it that you and Kevin shift gears personally when it comes to that, not just professionally? Because I think we've talked about how Kevin's doing that professionally, but what does like your home life balance look like in the winter? Are you getting more of your time spent? Yeah,
because he doesn't. So a lot of the times when it's the busy season, all summer, so from spring until harvest, when he does come home, he'll eat dinner and he's like ready to go to sleep most times.
Sure.
Right. But when it's the winter, he doesn't wear himself out so much.
Yeah.
So he still goes and does things. He's still over to the shop working on things, and he'll go. He may take extra half hour for lunch sometimes, or he'll come and work on projects here, and that's what I love.
He starts getting to that honey-do list.
Yes. So he gets the honey-do list, and then when he's here, then I can spend more time with him.
Right.
Because I don't mind going and doing and the things like that. So, and we do have, every night we have a meal together, and every day we usually have lunch together unless I'm running around somewhere. So yeah, it slows down enough that we get more quality time for sure.
Good.
So, and we can spend it with the kids. So I really like that. And then of course, like I said, we travel. We take probably 6 weeks all together and split it between November, December, January, and February. And then we start cabbing, so we got to be home.
Well, and then we get into music in the park season, and we have to start planning by then. So then it has to work with our schedule also at this point.
Yeah. So always lots going on. So so sometimes that's hard because, the winter concert series, when we were doing those, that was hard. Because then I'm trying to travel and plan the music in the park things with you and spend time with my husband.
Right. Yeah, that was hard, unfortunately.
I'm glad that we're not doing that. It was fun. It was fun.
It was a good get out. And now we've inadvertently replaced it with putting on a full Christmas festival for the entire town.
Yes.
Which is great, but luckily it's one day and not one day a month, and so we've rebalanced ourselves for the winter, I think.
I think we have. So, Yeah. So winters are definitely better, and once we get through this Christmas season, it slows down.
Mm-hmm.
And then we do also spend a lot more time with the grandkids,
Mm-hmm.
and that's more fun. And of course, we're busy with the grandkids anyways. We're always
Right.
trying. I chase them more than he does because he's busier,
But there's always a
they're
kid
involved in
doing a
something.
basketball game, a
Yes.
soccer game, a baseball game,
Yeah.
anything.
Oh yeah, we got
There's
one
always super
starting
involved.
basketball this Thursday, so
Yeah.
it's always something. Um, so the other thing is, I think that Kevin tends to try to find more hobbies too in the
Well, that's good.
winter, things that but it's usually we try to do stuff that's together.
Is that a
He'll go
new
golfing.
thing?
Yeah, so
Yeah.
he'll like when we go to St. George, he goes golfing. The last few years he'll go golfing with Mark every time, and we'll
Good.
go a couple of times. And so, and we try to pick things like we want to hike, and we pick specific things that we want to go and do, so
Right.
that it keeps us busy. He likes to be busy. He likes to have
An agenda.
an agenda.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it is, for all intents and purposes, it is slower in the wintertime if we're really thinking about it, but it doesn't stop. It's
It
not
doesn't stop.
a full stop. Nobody's getting laid off.
No, everybody else is still working.
Everybody's else is still working.
Mhm.
They can also take time off.
Yes.
But this is a good time for Kevin to probably vacation. One, because he's delegated a lot more these
Mhm.
days. And so that's helpful to him. But also, the less he's doing, the more employees get to keep hours and keep busy and
Yeah.
keep paychecks and things like that. So, but it doesn't ever stop completely.
No, it doesn't.
Yeah.
And I think that's the farce. People think, well, your crop's in, so you don't have anything to do. But
Right.
there's always something to do.
Well, and I think it's important to note, and this is just a tease into some stuff I think we'll talk about later, but it's not just a farm, it's also a ranch. So
Yeah.
the ranch really picks up in the wintertime because calving season starts.
Yeah.
And so, where some people, and I'm just guessing with my city girl eyeballs, but if you're solely farming, those are probably the people that do have to lay off some employees
Yeah.
and do really get a lot of downtime. Whereas if you have a farm and a ranch, now you really have to focus on getting the herd moved, getting them, to home base for the wintertime, getting, calving is just nonsense.
Yeah. We're actually going to talk about all that, though, in the next episode on ranching.
Right. But
We'll
I just think
get
it's
more
important just
detail,
to
but yeah,
mention that,
we're the
that
oddball.
there is definitely still a busy season in the winter because of the cows.
Yeah, and that's where we're different from a lot of the farmers, is because we do have both. And then I don't know, it just seems like instead of, it used to be we would sell our calves and you'd be done for a while, but
Right.
we're feeding calves in our feedlot all the time, so it
Right.
seems like it's never ending. But that's a good thing, because then our employees are all kept busy, and we were able to be able to have our son come on board also.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you have the income to do that when you expand a little bit.
Sure.
And grow. And that's diversity and growth are very important in farming.
Mm-hmm.
And like I said, being a great business manager like Kevin is. So
before we wrap it up, I want to ask you, what is your favorite part about being a farmer's wife, being a supportive member of the farming community in the wintertime?
In the wintertime versus I think that just the slower pace,
Mhm.
the ability to, the kids are home, I can go over and visit the kids. I can spend more time with Kevin. He's not
Mhm.
as exhausted. He's
Right.
not as well. He hasn't been as stressed over the past few years, anyways. So
Right.
that's much
He's got a
better
lot
with the
more
kids.
support.
Yeah, so that's all good. But yeah, it's definitely just slower, more relaxed. It doesn't feel as crazy, and there's just not as much to, I guess, to worry about. I mean, you have I guess in January is really when it's totally, or maybe right before Christmas is when it's like totally, you feel like you can totally breathe.
Everyone takes a
and
breath.
totally relax.
Yeah.
And yeah, so
Mhm.
yeah, there's those couple of months that are really good and just more relaxed and
Mm-hmm.
more quality time with your family and friends, and
Right.
yeah, a
Good.
lot more flexibility. So there are just different seasons. It's like there are with life, you know,
Mhm.
you have different, the farming is just like life. We have
Mhm.
different seasons in our lives,
Mm-hmm.
and our ebbs and flows, and, you know, everything changes, and sometimes I have difficulty with change. So, but it's normally not the slow. When we go from the harvest to the slow, I ease into that very well.
Yeah.
But when a lot of the times when we go into harvest, I I I'm excited and
Mhm.
ready for it, and then sometimes though
It gets overwhelming.
it gets overwhelming.
Mhm.
Yeah. So yeah, it's all just different speeds. It's like riding a roller coaster.
Yeah, it really is.
Yeah.
And I think that, you know, where you can clock your ebbs and flows sort of with the seasons, it is helpful to have, especially where you don't like change too much, especially if it's a busy change,
Yeah.
but you can expect it.
Yeah.
And you can get yourself into a rhythm of knowing what's the next thing. And if I get through this, then we're going to have that reward of taking a breath in the wintertime and having everything slow down a little bit, spending more time
Yeah.
together.
Well, and that's the big, because of the quality time thing. So Kevin has to remind me, well, you know, we're going to be going in
Mm-hmm.
November and spending a week here. And I'm like, oh, yeah, okay. Yeah,
Right.
we are.
Right.
So we're going to take a quick sponsor break. We're so excited to actually have some sponsors.
Absolutely.
So we now have had 2 sponsors. And I'm super excited about that. It shows that we're growing, and you know, thank you all for supporting us and listening to us. And
Absolutely.
we'll close out with some more information in just a second. Before we finish, we want to give a quick shout out to our sponsor, Milestone. Their equipment has been a huge part of making our harvest work more efficient and reliable.
Exactly. The Even Flow stores so many more potatoes, improving the speed of unloading the tables. And they're bigger and allow for even more room for the pickers. It makes it way more comfortable.
Yes, I absolutely love the quality of all of their equipment, especially their piler, because I ran the piler.
Absolutely.
And I'm going to tell you, I've used other pilers, and when I got that piler, that was like a Cadillac. I just absolutely adored it. And the cool thing was that their engineering guys came down and they created some things for us personally to help me to be able to stay on the bottom and pile without having to go on the top of the pile. And that was thanks to my son-in-law. He came up with those ideas, and Milestone, and their dedication to its customers like us. And their service is also so exceptional.
Their service is off the charts. If ever we had any issues during harvest, no matter how busy they could have been with other farmers around the area, we wouldn't even know something might have broken down, and all of a sudden we would see a Milestone truck pull up and they're already getting it fixed. Their customer service is top notch.
They're fabulous. So, okay, so we're going to close. After harvest, the fields rest, but farmers don't.
Just a little.
A little bit. Well, some farmers rest more than others, but yeah. The work shifts, the pace softens, and, you know, like we did say, like Kevin's on the retirement part, so we're trying to soften that even more.
Right. Pull back.
But their commitment stays the same, because even when we're gone, you know, Kevin's calling and checking to see if everything's okay and what's going on.
It's never, he's never out of it.
Yeah, never out of it. So it is a 12-month journey, with winter as our time to restore, reflect, and, you know, just prepare to do it all over again.
Yeah. I think that's beautifully said. And the soil's resting, but there's still a lot of growth happening, and there's a lot going on behind the scenes.
Yeah. So thank you for joining us. We want to thank you again for being with us, for watching us, or listening to us.
Thank you again to Milestone for sponsoring this episode and for supporting our farmers.
Yep. And we hope that you
stay empowered.